Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network. Welcome to Gun Sports Radio, all about shooting, hunting, self-defense, and more. Now, here are the hosts of Gun Sports Radio, Dave Stahl and Lance Pelkey.
Hey, welcome. Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170, The Answer. We want to thank Gun Range San Diego for their massive support. Without them, I don't know where we would be. 7853 Balboa Avenue in San Diego, 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Nordstrom's of gun ranges. Trust me. Go to gunrangesandiego.com, gunrangesandiego.com, and you will get totally hooked up. Hey, we've got Michael Schwartz and Hollywood in the house. Lance is someplace in Italy.
Off vacationing again.
Picking grapes or riding. Can you imagine that man on an electric bicycle? I know, that's okay now that you've got your chuckle for the day. So, Mr. Schwartz, with San Diego County gun owners that everybody should belong to for a measly $10 a month, what do you got going?
Very special guest. We have Mr. Jim Miller. Jim Miller is an attorney. He's a father. He is a member of the San Diego County Gun Owners Board, and he's also on the Cajon Valley School Board, and he is a gentleman, a scholar, and a fine judge of Scotch. Jim, are you there?
Yeah, thanks for that introduction, Mike. Much appreciated.
You bet. Jim, now you had a fairly interesting meeting last week, and I wanted you to come on the show and talk about how everything went down and what happened, and let's chat about it.
No, absolutely. So, Cajon Valley. We're here in El Cajon. We represent the East County. We have 18,000 students, 26 schools. And frankly, we have a lot of common sense when it comes to how we go about, keeping our kids safe. And unfortunately, those moms demand action, every town, Bloomberg backed, Brady, we don't like guns and we're going to bother you even though we're not from your district, people decided to show up and protest, me particularly, but overall the entire board. They had wanted us to pass a resolution that, well, one was factually inaccurate, and then two, of course, very much anti-gun, trying to play upon the parkland shooting, and we just wouldn't do that. So
no, I read that. I read that resolution. Can we had another school board member on a couple of weeks ago, and the fact that the anti-gun part of it, I mean, that's just a fact. You remember, if I remember correctly, it actually said they wanted to ban all semi-automatic firearms. Oh, exactly.
And to be frank with you, I don't think they even know what all semi-automatic firearms are.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So, but that was the biggest issue. So we, as a board, didn't even put it on the agenda at any time. So we didn't even have to vote it down. We just didn't agendize it. We certainly didn't walk lockstep with the crazy San Diego Unified School Board that jumped right on top of this thing and then turned it into a political scapegoat. And even Poway, unfortunately, followed suit. So I send them an email back saying, hey, look, and this is not as a board member. I send them as a private citizen. I even put it on the very top. This is not me coming from the board. These are my thoughts. I've shot my whole life. I'm very active, involved in the community. Your resolution's not factual. You really shouldn't be playing up the deaths of these students for political gain. It's just not appropriate. It's really sad. And they went out of their minds, of course.
You even offered to meet with them. You even offered to say, hey, I'll sit down and talk to you.
I said, anytime, any place, we'll sit down and talk to you. Members of the San Diego County gun owners would sit down and talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have the same vocabulary, if you don't understand what a semi-automatic firearm is, you just can't have that conversation about banning semi-automatics if you don't know what one is.
Right.
So as far as I am concerned, those of us that support, private ownership of firearms, support the Second Amendment, our job is to try to educate as much as is possible to overcome the ignorance of the far left anti-gun groups. It's just hard because they don't want to listen. And so they decided to protest. So they brought signs and they all had their fancy T-shirts, which were kind of funny. And the worst part about it, Mike, and you were there, so you can attest to this, is when a 12-year-old boy stands up before an elected board
mm-hmm.
and says, hey, my parents taught me how to shoot when I was younger. They taught me gun safety. I enjoy shooting. And all you get is boos and hisses and just complete rudeness from those supporting the anti-gun side of the ledger. But yet, of course, when they're speaking, everybody is completely polite. Everybody is silent. Everybody lets them say what they're going to say. It just kind of shows you the basis as to where these people are coming from. And then, of course, afterwards, there are 6 or 7 nasty emails sent to our board president. I currently sit as the vice president. They, of course, don't send those emails to me. But then when we look up who these people are and we offer them meetings with our superintendent, they're not even from our district. They're showing up from places as far away as Carlsbad, Hillcrest, North Park. They're not from East County. So,
yeah, it was really, their behavior was pretty gross. I came and made a statement and thanked the board for not politicizing the horrible, heinous event in Florida. And you guys really are. You did after that, you guys did a threat assessment, right?
Well, and here's the thing, right? We take reasonable, real precautions. So unlike the Parkland campus in Florida, we have closed campuses. So we have fencing around all of our campuses. This past summer, our 2 remaining school sites that had offices in the middle of the school where you could walk through to get to the office, we took a chunk of money and we moved those offices to the forefront. So now anybody coming onto a Cajon Valley campus has to walk through a manned portal. You have to give your ID, you sign in, there's an instant background check, and then you get your visitor's badge. Whereas before, or these other schools that have these shootings, they don't have those types of security precautions. So we have gone that extra mile. In addition to that, we've sent out, myself as the kind of the moving force on this, to put a threat assessment together. So we're engaging a professional service to come in and do a threat assessment of every campus and say, okay, here's our current protocols. What can we fix? What works? What are your suggestions? And, we're going to try to make these kids as safe as possible, but
they weren't happy with that. The reason they're not happy with that is they're not a public safety organization. They are an anti-gun organization, and that's all they care about.
Exactly. So they don't really care about the safety for these kids. They don't care that we're taking real actions and real safety steps. They just want guns gone, not realizing that guns aren't even part of the issue in the equation that we're talking about. It's just, they're really not.
We need more elected officials, Jim, that hold the line and stand their ground just like you did. I really appreciated right in the middle of one of their somebody was giving a statement. I guess it was actually a positive statement, praising the board. And you stood up after he was done and took off your jacket and were wearing a Second Amendment T-shirt and then put on an NRA hat while they were giving their anti-gun statement. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And, that kind of, like I said, standing your ground, push back and saying, hey, look, we're not going to be bullied. We're not going to give in to your ridiculous agenda. We're going to stand up for what we believe in. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, Jim.
Well, thank you, Mike, for getting out there. And, the reality of it is we had more supporters in that room than not. But knowing that they were going to show up and that they were going to try to bring the media in and they all had their little Moms Demand Action red T-shirts on, I'm reaching my boiling point with these people that will take away our constitutional rights. And they're asking, get this, right? They're asking an elected official, an elected body, who has sworn an oath to uphold the United States Constitution. It might sound funny, but a school board takes a very similar oath to what the President of the United States takes to uphold the Constitution. But because they don't like a part of the Constitution, they're asking us to issue a resolution against it. That completely violates our oath of office, number one. But number two, I just kind of got to that boiling point where, if you're going to wear your T-shirt, guess what? I got a T-shirt for you as well. Because from the bench, from the dais, we don't respond to those public comments. We don't get to speak until the end, until our board comments. Of course, by then they've all left because they've made their scene.
Right.
But I wanted them to know, look, I support the Second Amendment. I support the United States Constitution. And if you're going to wear your T-shirt, I can wear a T-shirt too.
Well, the reporter was outside afterward. They had a couple of reporters outside afterward, and I spoke with one and made a statement. And he kept asking, okay, well, what's the next step? And I said, well, there's not a next step. This is just, they just came in and threw a fit. And he said, yeah, I can't really figure out what they're trying to do or what their message is. And it was really kind of, childish and unprofessional and just scattered all over the place.
They don't know either.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. So.
Well, the reporter, when he talked to them, and he told me afterwards because he was interviewing me, he said, look, according to Mr. Miller, because he stayed for the entire meeting, right? And when I got to make my comment from the board,
right.
He says they have closed campuses. He says that they moved 2 offices. He says that they're going through a threat assessment of every other school. What else do him asking the anti-gun groups, what else would you really want them to do? They got offended by that and said, you're politicizing it. His response was, well, but you called me, the media, to show up to this meeting so you could make a protest. Yeah. What do you mean I'm politicizing it?
Absolutely ridiculous. Totally. Well, Jim, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you standing up and fighting the good fight. And it's such a breath of fresh air. It can be so frustrating seeing what's going on in California and across the nation with elected officials. It's so nice to have elected officials like you out there standing up for our rights. Thank you so much, Jim.
That's right. Hey, and this radio show is behind you 100% anytime you need us.
Guys, thanks for having me on.
All right. Hey, we're going to have to take a small break. John Dillon's on the line. Let's find out what he's got right here on AM 1170, The Answer. All right, wait, folks. Welcome back. Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170, The Answer. Trident Gunsmithing. Check these guys out. TridentGunsmithing.com. TridentGunsmithing.com. 858-577-0576. If you're a hunter and you like to go out and do hunting, they have everything necessary. They got screaming deals on hunting rifles. They have classes. It's all right there at Trident Gunsmithing. Check them out right there in the Miramar Road area. Just go to TridentGunsmithing.com. TridentGunsmithing.com. And hopefully you never need a lawyer, but if you do, Gatsky, Dillon, and Balance, LLP, is San Diego County gun owners and Gun Sports Radio's choice by far. John Dillon, attorney at law, calls in once a week and chats with us. Usually not good news, but that's just the kind of guy he is. So if you have a question, normally it costs a fortune to talk to a lawyer, but if you go to cafirearmslaw.com, cafirearmslaw.com, send John an email with a question. He'll be more than happy to answer it for you. Or you can call him at 760-431-9501. That's 760-431-9501. And talk to John personally. But hey, if you're listening to this show, you don't have to worry about it because guess what? He's on the air. How's it going, bud?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good. You sleeping now? You getting good sleep? Kids sleeping all night?
Not yet, unfortunately.
Didn't you talk to him?
Yeah, I've talked to both the kids numbers of times, but they just don't seem to listen about sleeping.
Kids are funny that way.
I know. So what's kicking?
Well, you brought up the fact that people can email and ask questions, and so I have a topic I wanted to discuss that I routinely get questions on, and also I have had a number of clients that have been in this type of situation with criminal charges. And so I was going to talk about traveling through the airports with firearms and firearm ammunition and accessories, and also some just general transportation advice.
I've heard this happens. I've heard this happens way, way, way too often.
Oh, it does, and most often it's an accident and something that was 100% unintentional, but it can really put you in a bad light and can put you in a situation that's going to cost you a lot of money and potentially have to go to court to defend yourself. So with regard to if you ever want to go out of state with a gun or a handgun, rifle, shotgun, for a hunting trip or anything like that, shooting class, it's always good to check which airline you're going to take your flight on. Each airline will have their own rules and regulations, and also the individual airport you go to will all have various firearms rules and regulations and how you're supposed to transport them. And a lot of people know that. It's pretty easy, pretty accessible. You go on any one of these websites, and they really will have like a firearms section and kind of lay out their rules. However, in California, of course, we also have our own state laws that have to deal with, firearms and firearm accessories. So not only do you have to be in compliance with the airport and the company you're flying with, you also have to be in compliance with state law. So if you're going to transport any guns, they should be unloaded, and you should triple check that there's no ammunition in the gun. They need to be in a hard locked case, and these locks should be either a combination lock or a key lock, TSA, approved locks. But you should be the only one with the key or the code. You should not tell anyone about that code. You should not hand over the key to anyone, even if the airport or the airline asks for it. You will immediately go to the front desk. You have to use the in-person, over-the-counter check-in process, and you have to notify them that you're transporting firearms. They will usually request that they get a visual inspection of that firearm. You will comply with that. You got to open up your case, show them that it is unloaded. They put a verification card in there, and then you lock it back up. And after you hand over your firearm, they'll check it in, and you go about your normal travel plans. Big thing to make sure on. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just talking about those locks, because, I travel with my firearms all the time, traveling around for shooting competitions and things like that. So everybody, and the reason I'm bringing this up because people come into Gun Range San Diego and ask if we have the TSA locks. And the TSA lock is a lock that has a master key that you have to be a TSA agent to buy, and it's a combo lock, and the TSA agents can open them up without having to call you back if your bag is flagged for inspection. I was told in more than one city, including San Diego, Columbus, and in Phoenix, I was told in all three of those places to not use the TSA locks anymore. To do exactly what you said, to have a combo or key lock where you have the only one, and where not even TSA has the ability to get in there without you being present.
Interesting.
And if your hard case will fit inside your regular suitcase, you can do that. You'll just have to open up your regular suitcase, then open up your hard case, show them the weapon is unloaded, then close the hard case again, lock it, and then you can close your regular suitcase as well, as long as it's in your checked luggage.
That's a very good point. And I would say if you're transporting a handgun in a hard case that's in your luggage, possibly even get some sort of cable that will connect the firearm or handgun case to the inside frame of your luggage so they can't be separated. Unfortunately, there's a huge problem with airport theft when it comes to luggage. I'm sure, any one of us has probably had something stolen out of their luggage traveling, and you don't want it to be a firearm. That's for sure. So do take the extra steps to secure everything. Do not give out your code. If the airline tells you that, hey, we need to be able to open this, or we may need to open it later on, you can give them your phone number and say, hey, I'm not going to give you my key or the code, but if there's a problem and you need to look in the case again, you can call me and meet me in an approved area, and I'll open it up in my presence and lock it back up in my presence.
John, the few times I've traveled with a pistol, I made a point of going to the website of the airline that I was traveling on and printing out their rules regarding firearms and walking them in. I actually took a highlighter and highlighted them and walked them in with me just in case there were any questions, comments, concerns. What do you think about that as a best practice?
That's a fantastic idea, because a lot of times if someone's either new or they just haven't done a firearms check-in process before, they may not know the procedures. They may just be guessing and start issuing some orders that aren't required or things that you don't have to do. So it's always good to have that on hand. You can just say, hey, this is from your company's own hand or word and mouth. Here's the rule. I've done that. That's all I need to do. But again, you always have to make sure that you're in compliance with state law too. So you can't have any empty magazines, any ammunition, even, snap caps, inert ammunition, any firearm loading accessories like speed loaders, clips, anything like that in your carry-on luggage, everything like that, everything associated with a firearm in any way essentially will have to be in your checked luggage. So I always recommend use a separate bag from your range bag and your airline transport bag, because even if you have a spent shell casing or spent cartridge casing in your carry-on, even if you dumped it out or you sorted through and tried to find everything, if they find that on you, that can be charged with a crime.
You're in big trouble.
You got to be very careful.
Yeah, I was up at a.
It's better to you got to use a separate bag, and that way nothing ever gets mixed in.
I was up at a meeting in Orange County, and the Orange County Sheriff's Department was meeting with all the CCW instructors for Orange County, and I got to attend, and that was their big advice. And he said that it really happens more often than it should, and it happens more often than people think. Is they get a call about somebody getting in trouble with the TSA, and that was their big piece of advice, is to make sure that you have a carry-on bag as well as that's not your range bag. So make sure you have a range bag and a carry-on bag, and they're not the same bag.
Yeah,
because apparently that happens a lot.
It happens every day, especially if you're considering cross country. Every single day, multiple times a day, people make this mistake, and you're being a little bit complicit, or things are busy, you packed in a hurry, and it was a complete accident, but it can get you in trouble. And so you don't want to have to go through that process. It's just, if you're going to ever be, going anywhere with a gun, it's good to take the necessary precautions to make sure you know exactly what you can and can't do.
So I got a question for you. It's totally unrelated because we just have a couple minutes. I was just at the Avocado Festival up in your neck of the woods, John, up in Fallbrook.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
It was awesome. 100,000 of my closest friends. San Diego County Gun Owners had a booth there, and one of our newest members, Courtney, just got out of law school, and she was helping us at the booth. And as an attorney, as a new attorney, what advice would you give to someone who's a brand new attorney? They're pro Second Amendment and they want to help. But she was asking, she said, "Hey, I got my law degree now and I want to help. What advice do you have for her?"
Well, honestly, what she did by joining San Diego County Gun Owners is a huge deal. I mean, as you know, of course, a lot of what you guys do has to deal with the law. Having people that know the law, that are experienced in the law, that can properly interpret the law is a good weapon to have, and it helps a lot. If you are a pro Second Amendment attorney and you want to get into the firearms business a little bit more, unfortunately, there's not a lot of attorney continuing legal education class that you can take when it comes to firearms. The Bar Association isn't necessarily a pro Second Amendment group, which is just a scary thing to say in and of itself.
Yeah.
But you really got to take the steps on your own. You got to push and really pursue that goal if that's what you want to do. That's one of the things I did as a starting up as an attorney. I was huge into guns, huge into firearms law, and so I just started doing it myself. I saw that the resources weren't there for people, and the best way to do it is just to jump in head first.
Well, it doesn't hurt that Gatsky and Balanced seen a vision of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it took a little bit of fancy wording and promises, and I think I fulfilled those. But you definitely have to convince those around you to help support you. And I was lucky enough to get that support, and I really hope that anyone else who's also trying to do what I did, they get that as well.
Absolutely.
And you can give me any time.
Yeah, by the way, they call that tap dancing, just in case you were curious. All right. How's that Tesla doing?
Fantastic.
That's what I wanted to hear. Right here on AM 1170, we are The Answer. Welcome back.
Chapel Hill.
You are listening to... I seen a sign that said Chapel Hill. We were lost, but I seen a sign that said Chapel Hill.
It's all the same.
I knew I should have called you. This is Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170. The Answer. This segment is brought to you by the good folks of Gun Range San Diego, 7853 Balboa Avenue. I'm telling you, folks, if you haven't been, you got to go down. In fact, I guess you don't call it emceeing a wedding. I don't know what you call it, but
officiate.
So what I did,
administering.
Here's the gift, and I have to tell you, I gave a gift of the husband and wife can come down to Gun Range San Diego on a Monday, and I'll treat them to range time.
There you go.
Yeah, and it looks to me like the party is coming down. So.
That's good because if you come down on a Monday, if you're paying for the range time.
Yeah.
Gun Range San Diego already picks up the gun rentals, so they'll probably be in there shooting for almost nothing.
Yeah, well, they're in Italy right now.
Oh, okay.
What is with everybody in Italy? Lance is over in Italy. They're going to Italy.
I don't know.
Are you going?
No,
Are you going, Mikey?
No.
I've traveled enough in my time.
All right, so this is...
Does Philippi's count? Because I might go there.
Yeah, there might be something there. So this segment is brought to you by Gun Range San Diego. As I mentioned, folks, just go there. You'll be so impressed. I mean, I'm telling you, you just won't believe it. So we got Hollywood's in the house. What you got for us?
Well, same old. We got the Daniel Defense rifles are down there. They're $350 off, depending on which configuration you want. So no matter which one you get, it's $350 off. We have the M1A, which is the civilian version of the M14.
M1A.
The M1A.
You got an M14?
We got them down there, and
by Springfield.
Yeah, the Springfield.
What kind of ammo do they fire?
7.62 by 51 NATO or 308 Winchester. They're the same.
No kidding.
And
I see that.
Yeah, come on down there. We got a wood synthetic. We have the
still weigh 500 pounds. There's the one I hauled around in the Army. It was 500
pounds. It's 9.5 pounds empty.
Jeez.
But. Now, come on down, and we got those. The great thing about the M1As, not only are they $100 off right now at Gun Range San Diego.
What's retail?
Depends on which one you get, because we have the Scout Squad, the SOCOM 16.
Yeah,
we have the standard synthetic, the standard in wood.
What brought these back?
Well, they're getting really popular here in California because they are compliant. Yep. They're a semi-automatic rifle, fires a huge round, and they come from the factory compliant because they're the old style military.
Yeah, the one.
Yeah, exactly.
No pistol grip.
No pistol grip. No adjustable stock.
10-round magazine, standard.
Yeah, it's a standard 10-round mag, and so
solid sighting.
Right. Yep. So there's no place for vertical foregrip or anything like that, and it is a great.
Wow.
It's a true battle rifle, but made the way weapons should be made, out of iron and wood.
That's right.
And they are amazing. We got those down there.
You got one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got
one.
Don't think I don't. I definitely have one. I got one I take. That's one of the ones I travel with. I take to go shoot at the national matches and stuff out at Camp Perry and Camp Butler and stuff.
Using M1 for professional competition?
Yeah, it's because there's different
classes.
Different classes, yeah. Okay. And you can use, pre-war things like that. Matter of fact, I have an M1 Garand I use. It's used the old 30-06 that I love to go out there and
I got to come see. I'm coming down to see that. That's all there is.
You got to come down and check it out. And we're still trying to run all of our ammo specials and things like that.
1,000 rounds of 9mm for $200.
$200.
I was telling people back in North Carolina. The ones in North Carolina want me to start shipping. Says, you can't get, that's not new ammo. I go, the heck it ain't. It's new ammo.
Brand new factory ammo in the box. And we're also, come on down and see any of the guys there on the sales counter. We'll be happy to go over all the new laws that are coming out and all the new changes that are happening. John Dillon does a really good job of keeping us updated on all that stuff.
Well,
so
now that you mention it, because we talked a little bit off air, because we were the ones that broke the news on air that California or the feds are coming out with this new driver's license, and they said you couldn't fly and you couldn't buy a gun. But there's an update.
Right. So if you have one of those new federal limit apply driver's license, there was a time where those were not good for purchasing firearms. Mm-hmm. But the federal ATF came out, sent out a bulletin, said, hey, you know what? Those are good for the purposes of purchasing firearms, and the state of California is good with it, and then we're good with it. So you can use those for the purposes of purchasing a firearm. However, come 2019 or 2020, they aren't good for air travel anyway. So if you have one of those, or more importantly, if you don't have one of those and your driver's license are about to expire in the next, 2 years, you're gonna want to get what's called the real ID.
You physically have to go to DMV.
You physically have to go to DMV, because if you do it via mail
or internet
or online, they're going to give you the federal limit supply, and that's all after the SB 60, SB 360, whatever it is, where California gives illegal immigrants, illegal aliens,
right, driver's
ID.
license,
right,
SB 60,
SB 60.
Yeah.
So that's part of that, and I just want to touch base real quick on our first caller. How he talked about, how the people came out and they were wearing their shirts and they were being rude and, saying things that were kind of irrelevant to the topic at hand. It takes me back when we went down to see the city council.
Yeah.
When they were doing the resolution to send a letter to Congress.
Right.
And how the same thing, the Mothers Who Demand Action and the Brady campaign, they came out there and they gave this, they had like 6 to 16-minute presentation to the city board on why guns are bad, and every fact they gave them was not a fact at all. It was either misconstrued. It was they pulled a half a sentence out of one, and it was all not factual.
Totally misleading.
Absolutely. And that's just how the anti-gunners do it. They lie and cheat and say false things, and people want to believe it, and nobody fact checks them. And then when we stand up and try to say something that's true, we end up being the bad guy.
Well, let's compare and contrast a little bit. If you're a gun owner, you've gone through a background check, you've gone through training, you've gone through fingerprinting. If you're a member of San Diego County Gun Owners, you've actually had to report, hey, this is who I am, this is where I live, this is who I work for, and this is what I do for them. You have all this information. You go through, get a CCW, you've gone through an even more thorough background check. You've gone through training, so if you're a gun owner who has a CCW and you're a member of San Diego County Gun Owners, we know exactly who you are. We know exactly, you've passed a background check. We know you're not a criminal. We know we have fingerprints on file, all that other good stuff. You look at our website, our Facebook page, San Diego County Gun Owners, it's wide open. We don't hide anything. It's not a private page. Now look at this, the Moms Demand Action who came down to these, the city council meeting. And
right.
We don't know anything about them. What do we know about them? How many members are there? Who are their members? How come their Facebook page is closed? I don't know if you've been to their Facebook page.
I don't go to anybody's Facebook page.
Well, it's closed. You can't see what they're posting. It's not public. Why are we letting people who refuse to disclose who they are, refuse to, talk about what kind of background they have or if are they a citizen of San Diego? Are they a citizen of the United States? Are they a resident of San Diego?
Right.
And here they are, showing up at city council meetings, criticizing, and making demands and trying to take away laws. Meanwhile, San Diego County Gun Owners members, gun owners, CCW holders, we're the ones that have proven that, hey, we live here. We're not criminals. We have the right to vote. It's pretty. It's pretty ugly. It's pretty ugly.
Absolutely. And it was luckily, we got to give up, and instead of our normal, 3 minutes that we're supposed to get. They cut us all down to 60 seconds each for our rebuttals to their presentation. And then what kills me is that not only do they get to make their presentation, but they got to come up and do the 60-second rebuttals.
Right.
The pros.
So it gives them even more opportunity to talk.
But during that time, when they, I can't remember the city council member's name, he actually pulled out his laptop and pulled up and said, hey, you guys were saying this, this, and this.
Mark Kersey. And he goes, you came up in your presentation labeled, he just picked 3 things. These 1, 2, 3. He goes, and I'm at these other states and cities' websites, and they're saying absolutely that not what you're saying. Yep.
Where are you getting your information from?
Yep. And if they were ethical, if the people on that board were ethical, they would have said, you know what, we're gonna stop, we're gonna couch this, we're gonna go back and we're gonna check these facts, and then we're gonna come back and revisit this issue. But
before we even vote on it.
Before they even vote, that's not what they did. They just voted it forward without didn't care.
That's what
total
Alvarez,
disregard. Yeah, Alvarez. And,
that was Alvarez's
Barbara
whole
Bree
agenda.
and Chris Ward.
Unbelievable.
Very unbelievable.
Yeah, so
but that's what we live in right now. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, and we might give Joe some more airtime. What do you think?
Heck yeah.
But you got lots of airtime. Unless you got lots of content.
No.
All right, right here, AM 1170. The Answer. Folks, hey, welcome back. You're listening to Gun Sports Radio right here on AM 1170, The Answer. This segment is brought to you by Trident Gunsmithing. If you're into hunting, this is a great place for you to be. They have specials on hunting rifles. They've got a phenomenal gunsmith there by the name of Dan. And they've got classes on hunting. They'll even show you how to cook the game you shoot and clean and kill. So check them out, Trident Gunsmithing. Go to tridentgunsmithing.com. Make sure you tell them you heard it right here on KCBQ AM 1170, The Answer. All right, so Mikey, what do you got? Anything?
Well, we have a sad announcement that I think we should.
Yeah,
I think Joe's probably the most appropriate guy.
Yeah, Gunnery Sergeant Arlie Ermey. Most people know him from being the drill instructor, Gunnery Sergeant Hartman.
Wait a minute, that guy?
That guy.
He passed away?
Passed away today at the age of 74. And he was a huge gun advocate, was a spokesman for Glock, guest hosted different shows like Top Shot and things like that. And
he was your ultimate DI.
Yeah, he was the ultimate drill instructor. Yeah.
Passed away today at age 74 from complications of pneumonia. He was actually on the NRA's board of directors.
Right.
Yeah.
I was there at the meeting when they swore him in, actually.
Wow.
A few years ago.
Yeah, and I tell you, I've met the guy several times. I played golf with him before doing charity events, and the fact they lived to be 74. I mean, he would light his second cigarette from his first cigarette, and then his third from his second,
and he's still here.
Yeah, and he was quite the character. Very pro Second Amendment. He was at SHOT Show every year.
Very pro-Marine.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, my
absolutely.
God.
Yeah, he was a Marine. He was a real Marine Corps drill instructor.
Right.
He didn't just play one on TV.
No. You can tell.
Yeah, he was
you can't
from
fake
65 to 67. He was actually a drill instructor sending Marines to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I guess the story goes during that movie, he was there as a consultant.
Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, for Full Metal Jacket. He was there as a consultant. He wasn't actually,
in the movie, he wasn't actually in it.
He wasn't actually supposed to be portraying Gunnery Sergeant
He started yelling at people.
He was trying to teach the guy how to do it. He's like, no, move out of the way. And then he'd go out and do the scene. He's like, now you go do it that way. And finally, they're like,
the producer said, wait a minute.
Yeah, the director's like, you guess what? You're just going to do it. You're just going to do it. And he was in a ton of movies, too. He was in, oh my gosh, so many movies. He even kissed Jack Black once.
Yeah.
Oh, golly.
Because he was, in the 80s, he was too old to be portraying a drill instructor.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
But he did such a good job.
We need more people like him.
He was in Fletch. He was hilarious in Fletch as the the evangelical preacher or whatever. He was a fun guy.
He was in the movie Seven. He played the main detective or the older detective in Seven.
Yep, in Seven. So he's a
He'll be missed.
phenomenal character, great human being. Gave a ton of himself to his country. Was a serviceman, an entertainer, and a Second Amendment advocate. So hats off, rest in peace, Arlie Ermey.
Good old Arlie. Wow, that's something else. Wow. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about Gun Prom.
Gun Prom, April 28th, just less than 2 weeks away. Still some seats left if you want to buy some individual tickets and come out and join us. Tickets are $150 each. We're having fantastic prizes. You might win a gun. We're going to have a silent auction. Tatiana Whitlock's our keynote speaker.
Who's Tatiana, for people that don't know?
Do you need me to escort her around for the weekend?
I'm taking care of that.
I'll ask. I'll see if she...
I'm already taking care of that.
I got an extra helmet.
She might be good to go.
You're going to need a helmet.
But she is an NRA spokesperson. She's an instructor. You can find her on YouTube. She's on. There's a gun TV that she's a part of. But she's fantastic, dynamic, extremely good public speaker, and I'm really looking forward to hearing her message because she does a great job. The Gun Range San Diego is one of our sponsors. They'll be there. Justin and Veronica are definitely going to be there, and it's going to be a really good time. We're looking at we're going on 600 people at this dinner.
So
600 people. Yep, we're getting.
I think some radio show bought a table too. But I think I'm going to be sitting by myself because everybody's in frickin' Italy. So I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Oh, well, don't worry. We'll get that table
filled up for me.
Filled up. Here's a picture of Tatiana for you.
Gun Sports Radio's got a table.
And
I'm picking her up.
And I know
I'm picking her up at dinner.
Gun Range San Diego. I gotta double check the dates, but if you emailed into Gun Range San Diego, they were giving discount tickets. They were picking up, instead of 150, it was only 125.
That's right.
And they were picking up the other $25 to help, and you're going to be a guest of Gun Range San Diego while you're there.
That's right. If you get a hold of the Gun Range San Diego, their ticket's $125. It's $150 if you buy from us direct, but if you go through the Gun Range San Diego, it's $25 off.
There you go. How many seats have I got left on my table? Do you have any idea?
I'll have to look it up. There's 8 people per table.
I know. I know it's me and my wife.
Yeah. And that's it.
and
your Rottweilers.
Hey, Monique says she'll sit at your table.
Oh, will Monique sit at my table?
Yeah, Monique sit at your table. She promises to leave arson at home this time.
Okay.
I think Lance...
I'm still picking up little pieces of plastic from last time arson was here.
I think Lance gave me a list with a bunch of people from Gun Sports Radio, so you might be... I don't know. I'll tell.
Well, I'd like to... I might invite Ron from KCBQ.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Bring a sales guy at the end. Like that. But anyway, so let me know what I have.
Steve from KUSI, see if he wants to go.
Yeah, Steve Cullen.
Yeah,
there you go.
He would seriously love it.
You ought to get Joe Little.
Yeah,
has he got a seat yet?
No, he doesn't.
But he's always been a big supporter.
Yep.
He gives us a fair shake every time he's on camera.
Yep.
We ought to get Joe Little on there.
And we got a new assistant news director, and I told him all about you, so be prepared for a phone call.
Okay.
I said I don't want to be on TV because I'm already doing the car stuff, but I says I've got Michael Schwartz would be excellent to come on. In San Diego Living.
Oh, all right. Yeah,
that's
perfect.
From 11 to 11:30, 11 to 12, something like that.
I've been told I have a face for radio. But yeah, I can go on TV.
We all have a face for radio. Trust me. Some more so than others. But no, the gun prom folks, I'm telling you, if you're like-minded and you're into Second Amendment and you want to intermingle with politicians and enthusiasts and gun owners and shops, and this is the place to be.
Or just reach out and get a little bit of that youth that you're missing. You come out, get to dress up, get a great dinner, do a little dancing.
Have a little wine.
It's gonna be phenomenal. I cannot wait.
You could never wait. I'm going to wear my white cowboy hat by.
You wearing white?
I got me one.
I'll wear black.
You'll wear black.
I'll wear black.
No, I can't. He won't let me wear it with my tuxedo.
It really is going to be a good time. Every year it's getting bigger and better and even more fun.
Yep.
And anybody that wants information, you go to gunprom.com. Gunprom.com.
Yeah, because if you go to the website, it's not as easy to find.
You got to click on Gun Prom. You got to click on Gun Prom.
I looked everywhere. I turned my computer upside down. I kicked it 5 times. Then you
still have a wired mouse that you try to talk into.
Hey, I'm the one. I figured I'm hosting it. I better get some more info.
I can imagine what his computer looks like. It's probably like from Bedrock, where there's a pterodactyl behind the screen, and you're tapping things out with his beak.
Are you ready to play a game?
Don't we all have that? Hey, but I'm really good at Pong.
All right.
You should see me. I'm good at Pong.
You can't access gunprom.com from an Atari 2600, Dave.
Really? Oh, man.
Commodore 64.
And, speaking of San Diego County gun owners, folks, a lot of people don't realize that, this is the watchdog of our Second Amendment rights here in San Diego.
That's right.
Unless you know of another organization that's watching over our Second Amendment rights better than you, I don't know who that person is.
So we were talking about our first guest, Jim Miller at the school board. Had we not been there, they would have, all these 30, moms who hate guns, they would have been there unopposed. Right. Completely and totally unopposed. So that's a big part of what we do.
Well, for people that maybe didn't listen to that interview, kind of do a little quickie recap on that. What was that all about?
Sure. So they asked the Cajon Valley School Board to pass an anti-gun resolution, and they said no, we're not going to do that. We've already done a threat assessment, and we're taking some real steps to make sure that our kids are protected, spending some real money to make sure that they're safe. We're not going to use this as a political opportunity to try to ban guns. Good. And they showed up and said, no. We object to that. And they were all, rude and mad. And it was just a horrible display.
False information.
Horrible
and
display.
Booing, anybody that was speaking in opposition of their view, they would just boo over their speech, right?
Yep. There was one mention of the Second Amendment when Jim, the school board member, took off his jacket and he was wearing a Second Amendment T-shirt, and they booed the Second Amendment. There was a 12-year-old boy who went up and said, "Hey, I learned gun safety and the proper handling of a firearm from my dad, and stop trying to take guns away." Hissed and snickered.
An 11-year-old boy.
Do me a favor. Do not invite me to any of these proceedings. I'm just telling you right now, don't.
Let me hang out at a high dive about 2 hours before you invite me.
I'm coming with you.
I'll tell you.
I'm coming with you. How did you keep your cool?
I know. I'll tell you though, San Diego County Gun Owners spent all day today at a booth in Fallbrook at the Avocado Festival. 100,000 people there. Very well received. When we get out into the public and say, "Hey, we're the spokespeople. We're helping defend and restore your Second Amendment rights," people love us. People love
about our little radio show.
Of course, you talk about it. There's little we got cards, and I think we have a little banner too that says Gun Sports Radio.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, folks, we're here to keep you safe, your family safe. You can't rely on anybody else but yourself, but it helps when you have friends like San Diego County Gun Owners, Gun Range San Diego, Triton Gunsmithing, and our radio show, Gun Sports Radio. All right, we're going to have to hit the dusty trail. Lance still won't be back next week, but we will right here on AM 1170. The Answer.
Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network.